Then we talk about intensive subsistence agriculture. This kind of system tend to be associated with, in general, small land parcel. The size of a farm tend to be small because in places where this kind of farming is practiced, you tend to have a large population. With large population, very quickly the fertile land was run out, and therefore also the land will pass on within the family through generations, and therefore more children you have, therefore the land becomes further divided into small lots. Okay, but with small lots and more people, they can put a lot of effort on land, on clearing the land, on managing the land. So, and the kind of crops that grow is also important. In many places where this type of farming is a practice, they grow rice. Now, rice is kind of a crops that require a lot of human care. You need to look on this slide. You can see people on the season of you want to grow the crop. You put a seedling in a rice field without help from any machine. You basically use your hand to put rice seedlings into the field, and that kind of a process is very time consuming, also uh, back breaking. And after they uh, put the right seeding in the field, and also they come back to do the weeding, to irrigate, and weeding a little more, irrigate more. So that kind of also they put the fertilizer into the field as well. So the more care that go into the rice field, the more product you can get. Also, countries or places that practice this kind of farming tend to have a subtropical tropical climate. So warm climate and also enough humidity would support double cropping. Double cropping means that within 1 year you harvest twice, you grow crops twice and harvest twice. In some places, they even have triple cropping. And therefore, for the same parcel of land, you can grow it twice or three times. That makes the land very productive. But also, this productive land is because you have very intensive human and fertilizer inputs. And also, rice is kind of a product that if you put a lot of effort into it, so it gives you a high yield. With high yield, with more output, that would support large population. So, what crop to grow and how you care the crops and the consequences is that you get high yield, and high yield of crops also support large population. So the size of a population and the kind of crop they grow is goes together. The whole ecological system that helps support the large population also support these kind of crops. And traditionally, this kind of farming was practiced in mostly river valleys, alluvial plains, but with the growth of a population, very quickly they run out of land. So they have to go to the terraced hillside to create more land. So in most places where this kind of farming is a practice, you see very large population. Look at the South Asia, Southeast Asia, and East Asia. As we learned from previous classes, all three regions are part of the primary uh, population center of the world. Now, this is a map that shows the rice production, and you can see country of Asia, especially China, India, and here Burma, all major countries that produce rice. And here are a few pictures that show that the rice focus intensive subsistence agriculture, the landscape, and use very simple tools, is a hand tool either just use animal draft and use animal as a draft, and also you can see the tourist field to to create the field on the hillside. Yeah, that is very typical landscape for countries that practice intensive subsistence agriculture. Part of Rwanda also practice intensive subsistence agriculture. You can really see that on the picture on the right. You can see that on the left side you have this farmland that very carefully cultivated. In contrast with the right side is a park, and that is very kind of natural crops, natural vegetations. So between the natural vegetations and this carefully cultivated farmland, that form very clear contrast. Yeah. So-called intensive subsistence agriculture is labor intensive. Then we see this pastoralism or pastoral animal herdings. People just herd animals as a source of food, shelter, and clothing. Also, they sell some meat to get cash to exchange for industrial product. And this kind of a farming system is practiced in places with very tough physical condition, mostly is dry condition. And therefore, the land is not very fertile, so you have to keep uh, your herd animal from place to place to look for places with more with new grass and with water, and therefore it's involved kind of a nomadic lifestyles. And sometimes people do settle down for in a place for a period of time, especially during the modern time. The modern government want to see their people stay in one place, not wander around. Especially, they do not want to see that the nomads from other countries wander into their own countries. So they try to stop people from wandering around from place to place. So that is one part of the problem facing the nomads that practice this kind of farming system. And these kind of places also tend to have a low population density because the poor land support only small amount of animals. With a small amount of animals, you really cannot support too many people. Yeah. So places where this kind of a farming system is practiced, those dry climate of North Africa, Central and Southern Africa, the Middle East and Central Asia. Also in some places, those reindeer herders in North America, Eurasia, Asia, polar areas as well.